So I will read the stories from Lesson 1 literature genres to you. What I would do is I would open this YouTube link in a separate tab. So I would keep my PLP open in one tab. I would open YouTube and listen to me read it in another tab because there will be questions for each story. So each story will be a separate video. That way you're not listening to all three stories and then trying to answer the question. So we'll break it down. So you don't have to listen to me read them, and if you would like to read them, you may. They are long though, so if you read them, it will take a very long time to get through this lesson. That's completely fine. That's up to you. So the first one we'll read is called The Emperor's New Clothes. So you have this in front of you in PLP to follow along. Like I said, I'd open this YouTube video in a separate tab. I'd follow along in PLP and be looking at your questions. The Emperor's New Clothes. Many years ago, there was an emperor who was so fond of new clothes that he spent all his money on them. Life was merry and gay in the town where the emperor lived, and numbers of strangers came to it every day. Among them there came one day two rascals, who gave themselves out as weavers and said that they knew how to weave the most exquisite stuff imaginable. Not only were the colors and patterns uncommonly beautiful, but the clothes that were made of the stuff had the peculiar property of becoming invisible to every person who was unfit for the office he held or who was exceptionally stupid. So you just read about tricksters. We're going to meet some tricksters. Those must be valuable clothes, thought the emperor. By wearing them, I should be able to discover which of my men in my empire are not fit for their posts. I should distinguish wise men from fools. Yes, I must order some of the stuff to be woven for me directly. And he paid the swindlers a handsome sum of money in advance, as they required. As for them, they put up two looms and pretended to be weaving, though there was nothing whatever on their shuttles. They called for a quantity of the finest silks and of the purest gold thread, all of which went into their own bags, while they worked at their empty looms till late into the night. I should like to know how those weavers are getting on with the stuff, thought the emperor. But he felt a little queer when he reflected that those who were stupid or unfit for their office would not be able to see the material. He believed indeed that he had nothing to fear for himself, but he still thought it better to send someone else first, to see how the work was coming on. I will send my faithful old prime minister to the weavers, thought the emperor. He will be best capable of judging of the stuff, for he is a man of sense, and nobody is more fit for his office than he. So think right now in the story, what's happening is this emperor really loves clothes. He's really into himself. And these two swindlers, people who want his money, have come into town and said, we can make you the most beautiful clothes, we know you love clothes, it'll be the finest, nobody will have anything like it. But if you can't see it, if somebody can't see it, it means that they're stupid and they're not good at their job, and they shouldn't keep their job. So they are getting ready. So the emperor is a little nervous to go check on them because he's like, what if I can't see anything? So he's going to send his prime minister. He's going to send somebody that he knows is really good at his job, so he should surely be able to see these clothes that these people are weaving. So the worthy old minister went into the room where the two swindlers sat working the empty looms. They're working empty looms. There is nothing on them. Heaven save us, thought the old man, opening his eyes wide. Why, I can't see anything at all. But he took care not to say that out loud. Is it possible that I'm a fool? I've never thought it, and nobody must know it. Is it true that I'm not fit for my office? It will never do for me to say that I cannot see the stuff. Well, sir, do you say nothing about the cloth? Asked the one who was pretending to go on with his work. Oh, it is most elegant, most beautiful, said the dazed old man as he peered again through his spectacles. I will certainly tell the emperor how pleased I am with the stuff. We are glad of that, said both of the weavers, and then they named the colors and pointed out the special features of the pattern. The cheats called for more money, more silk, and more gold thread to be able to proceed with the weaving, but they put it all into their own pockets, and not a thread went into the stuff, though they went on, as before, weaving at the empty looms. After a little time, the emperor sent another honest statesman to see how the weaving was progressing and if the stuff would soon be ready. The same thing happened with him as with the minister. He gazed and gazed, but there was nothing but empty looms. He could see nothing else. "I'm not stupid, I know I'm not," thought the man, "so it must be that I'm not fit for my good office. It's very strange, but I must not let it be noticed." So he praised the cloth he did not see and assured the weavers of his delight in the lovely colors and the exquisite pattern. "It is perfectly charming," he reported to the emperor. Everybody in the town was talking of the splendid cloth. The emperor thought he should like to see it himself while it was still on the loom. "What?" thought the emperor. "I see nothing at all. This is terrible. Am I a fool? Am I not fit to be emperor? Why, nothing more dreadful could happen to me." "Oh, it's very pretty. It has my highest approval," the emperor said aloud. He nodded with satisfaction as he gazed at the empty looms, for he would not betray that he could see nothing. Everyone with him exclaimed, "Oh, it is beautiful." They even suggested to the emperor that he wear the splendid new clothes for the first time on the occasion of a great procession which was soon to take place. So the emperor can't see anything because there's nothing there to be seen, but he says, "Oh, it's beautiful, it's great." And everybody around him, because the emperor said they can see it, they're like, "Oh, these are wonderful, they're so great, you should wear them at the big parade." There's nothing to wear, so we're going to see what happens. Splendid, gorgeous, magnificent went from mouth to mouth. All were equally delighted with the weaver's workmanship. The emperor gave each of the impostors an order of knighthood to be worn in their buttonholes and the title Gentleman Weaver of the Imperial Court. Before the day on which the procession was to take place, the weavers worked the whole night. At last they said, "Now the clothes are finished." The emperor came to them himself with the grandest courtiers, and each of the rogues lifted his arm as if he held something, saying, "See, here are the trousers, here is the coat, here is the cloak," and so on. "It's as light as a spider's web. One would almost feel as if one had nothing on, but that's the beauty of it." "Yes," said all the courtiers, but they saw nothing, for there was nothing to see. "Will your majesty be graciously pleased to take off your clothes so we may put on the new clothes here before the great mirror?" The emperor took off his clothes, and the rogues pretended to put on the garments. "How well his majesty looks in his new clothes! How becoming they are!" cried all the courtiers in turn. "That is a splendid costume." "The canopy that is to be carried over your majesty in the procession is waiting outside," said the master of ceremonies. "Well, I am ready," replied the emperor. "Don't the clothes look well?" as he turned round and round again before the mirror to appear as if he were admiring his new costume. So he took all of his clothes off and put on these new clothes that the weavers had made for him. But we know that they didn't make anything, so you can guess what he looks like right now. So the emperor went along in the procession under the splendid canopy, and everyone on the street said, "How beautiful the emperor's new clothes are! What a splendid train, and how well they fit!" No one wanted to let it appear that they could see nothing, for that would prove him not fit for his post. None of the emperor's clothes had been so great a success before. "But he has nothing on," said a little child. "Just listen to the innocent," said its father, and one person whispered to another what the child had said. "He has nothing on. A child says he has nothing on." "But he has nothing on," cried all the people. The emperor was startled by this, for he had a suspicion that they were right. But he thought, "I must face this out to the end and go on with the procession." So he held himself more stiffly than ever, and the chamberlains held up the train that was not there at all. That is the end of the emperor and his clothes. So now you have a couple questions, and there will be another video for the next story.